Yeah, I just made it back from Stillwater back in Norman as I got to see up close the Oklahoma Sooners escape from Stillwater, winning by 2 in a game in which they led wire to wire and much of the first half, led by double digits, and for part of the second half as well. There's no question that Oklahoma State, this is not one of the best seasons we've seen them play on the hard court. It's been one of the worst that they've had in quite some time, and of course, Travis Fort's worst season, it looks like so far, as Oklahoma State head coach, and you have to wonder about his future. But tonight, Oklahoma State played with a lot of guts, a lot of determination, and nearly pulled off a huge upset. And Jeffrey Carroll's shot at the end, his three-point shot, he got a good look, from that ankle left side with just under a second to go. And O.S.U, with that shot off the glass at the end, it nearly went in, and that goes in, you can kiss the number 1 ranking goodbye for the Sooners. But as a result, the Sooners do hold on. Got West Virginia coming up this Saturday at Lloyd Noble. Oh, you can win that. They'll be the consensus number 1 team. They're that close to being number 1 come Monday when the new AP and coaches polls come out. But keep in mind, though, that it doesn't mean the Sooners don't have things to work on. Now, much of the first half, the Sooners were hitting three-pointers like crazy. Buddy Hield had a 20-point first half. He had help as well. And what really impressed me about the Sooners in half number 1 was the fact that, for the most part, they were playing good defense and would not allow Oklahoma State a second opportunity. They were owning the glass. Then the second half, 2 things happened. Number 1, the Cowboys got more aggressive on the offensive side. And you got to really tip your hat off to Juwan Evans of the Cowboys. No players ever scored as many points as he did in the Bedlam series. Okay, he had 41 points tonight, and he's just a freshman. He was everywhere, and he was hitting outside shots. He was driving it down the paint, and he was getting other players involved. And the Cowboys in the second half were the more aggressive team, and that's why the Sooners had a hard time holding their lead. And in the meantime, on the offensive side in the second half, the Sooners were, again, falling in love with that jump shot. And I think it's a great lesson that maybe you got to be a little bit more aggressive on the inside. And the bottom line is, I know that the officiating for this game, I thought it was terrible. And normally, if you've watched my shows over the years, whether it's football or basketball, I don't, resort to the pick on officials, technique or tactic or style. Okay, because they have a hard job. But to me, it was a bit of a shady officiating job that we saw, especially in half number 2, and I didn't quite understand it. That being said, OU needed to penetrate a little bit more in the paint, and in the second half, they really didn't do that. And the thing that was disappointing about the Sooners, despite the fact that, they won, I'm not saying don't take the win. You take it, obviously. Winning beats losing. And there's a fine line between the two, winning and losing. But you can't be turning the ball over like crazy. And Buddy Hield, he had 26 in the game, although he only scored 6 in the second half. The turnovers were way too much. It got O.S.U. back into the game, especially in the final couple of minutes. And as impactful as Buddy Hield is, as much as he's done this season for the Crimson and Cream, he had 10 turnovers, including a couple of inexplicable ones late, and it nearly costed the Sooners the game. And I know Hield was unconscious in that first half, and maybe it was Oklahoma State's defense in the second half as far as the lack of offensive involvement that we saw from Hield. Whatever it wasn't the same Buddy Hield in the second half, and he had far fewer opportunities at shooting. So for the Sooners, I think 2 things come out of this that are positive, okay? And that's how you have to look at it. Number 1, you got the win. And it doesn't matter if this is not one of the best Oklahoma State teams we've ever seen, okay? You win on the road in the toughest conference in the country, the Big 12. Hey, don't reject it. Take it. But also, too, learn from it as well. Learn how to close out games. OU missed some free throws down the stretch, and it nearly costed them. Thank goodness for the good start that Oklahoma State did not have that OU did have. And, of course, OU had a dozen-point lead at halftime. Got to take care of the ball better down the stretch as well. And it's a good thing that Oklahoma State missed their free throws. because the Cowboys were not very good at the free throw line. They got in the bonus before the Sooners did. Couldn't take advantage. And ironically, that Carroll three-point shot at the end, if that had gone in, it would have been OSU's first and only lead in the game. So Sooners got to learn how to finish games. They got to learn how to finish games, take care of the ball better, be a little bit more aggressive inside, and get more production from the bench. I know this bench is not going to be the best bench in college basketball. That's fine, but they need more production from it. And Lon Kruger didn't get all he could from his bench once again. But you do win. You do win in an environment that's not easy. And it was still a loud environment, okay? Even though it wasn't a full Gallagher-Iba arena. I mean, it seats about 13,000. I'm probably going to say about 10,000 of those seats were filled. 90% Oklahoma State. And by the way, give Oklahoma credit too. There were hundreds of Oklahoma fans who made the trip. And I was sitting in a section that was predominantly Oklahoma fans in the upper level, 306. In the section next to me, 305 or 307, it was almost all Oklahoma fans, even though I know that section wasn't completely filled. But the fans that were there in that section, most of them were wearing crimson and cream. So OU fans were loud, got behind their team. And I know it was a predominant OSU crowd, but to have hundreds of Oklahoma fans make the trip at Gallagher-Iba, very, very encouraging. And for the Sooners, big game coming up against West Virginia, who upset Kansas on Tuesday. And thanks to West Virginia forcing turnovers and really keeping Kansas's offense out of rhythm. But this game coming up, Sooners get a lead in this one. They better not get away from their game plan, and they better hit free throws because otherwise West Virginia will beat them. Saturday should be fun. They'll be sold out at Lloyd Noble. You can win it. They'll be the consensus number one with still quite a few games to go. But as soon as you get a big win tonight, it's an escape. But, hey, I'm not going to reject the win. I'll take it. Oklahoma State was tough, but Sooners get the win in the end. Thanks, everybody.